So back in Wales, headed up to the east face of Tryfan, so just behind me there. Going to go up the Nor Nor Gulley, so one of the routes up that leads sort of quite close to the summit. So I drove up here this morning, and I'm going to head up there. Now it's about sort of 3 o'clock now, so not too long, but the sun sets until sort of 9 o'clock, so fairly late sunset, so we've got plenty of time. And it shouldn't be too long a route. So it's grade 2 plus scramble, so pretty dry conditions, so it should be all good. Should be in good condition. So we'll head up and see how it goes. Down there in the distance is the campsite. So it's literally right at the base of Tryfan, which is quite cool. Pretty good site to get out of the tent to in the morning. So now onto the Heather Terrace, which is kind of the first sort of section of it. So it's this ledge, quite sort of wide, probably, I think across the whole of it, probably 10-20 metres across, so it's pretty big. But yeah, it runs all the way along the east face of Tryfan. It's called the Heather Terrace because there's loads of this plant here, which is heather, all the way along it. And yeah, it's where a lot of the sort of gullies head up on towards the summit of Tryfan, from the east side at least. So I'm doing the second one along, so the Nor Nor Gulley. There's a couple of routes up through there, but when I get there I'm going to see how it sort of looks and then sort of pick my way up to the top. So yeah, it's a pretty steep ascent. Took what was called the climber's route up, so sort of slightly disused because it's not really sort of prominently been walked up a lot, but yeah, it's a route that heads sort of pretty much straight up. So I've done like 300 metres ascent in sort of 30 minutes, which feels a bit aggressive, but there we are. I haven't been in the mountains for a while, so that's probably why. Kind of more clearly see here how the Heather Terrace, this section here, kind of works its way over the face. That's sort of the east face, and that's obviously the valley there, and this kind of ledge here just works its way all the way along, kind of works all the way through over to the other side of it. So yeah, it's a kind of big long platform essentially. So at the entrance to the Nor Nor Gulley, it's up there. I was sort of taking a look at the guidebook and realised I was at the one just below. Some guys sort of said and helped and said, oh, it's next one along, so at the right one now. But yeah, there's a few routes through here. This is kind of one that goes kind of straight up the middle of the gully, one that kind of comes onto the left hand side, and then one that sort of goes up this rock face. Kind of one through the middle, fairly easy grade, and one on the left sort of slightly higher. The one on the right is kind of probably more of a sort of involved route. So I'm going to kind of cling to the left, head up, and see how it goes. But yeah, it looks quite fun, sort of quite enclosed, pretty good though. Good rock most of the way up, not too sort of messy with grass or scree, so should be a pretty easy going. There's a couple of sort of big lodged boulders on the way up, which is quite cool, and then right at the top as well there's kind of a lodged boulder that you can kind of step across.
I saw every shattered pane and every shadow in the waiting, and every fear without a name. I saw every crimson tail light flame. step beyond the walls, and truth lay in the street forgotten. But I will not leave you lost.
I'm probably a few hundred metres short now of the top of the gully, and then it's kind of a short way across to the summit from there. Yeah, been alright going. Sort of fairly hands-on from the start, but nothing too technical. Yeah, just working my way up through this kind of bouldery, heavy section at the moment, up onto those rocks there. So I can see the summit now. Just those pointy rocks there, the Adam and Eve stones. So I ended up going a little bit wayward of the Nor Nor Gulley, sort of veered off to the right, sort of more onto the kind of side of the North Buttress, on the North Ridge. So yeah, I'm sort of onto the North Ridge and heading sort of last little dip down and up.
Can you see I loved you all along, and I will find you. I don't fear the night. And I stared the darkness in the face, and I know the heavy rain.
So just come off the summit. You can see a video just before this of me jumping between the Adam and Eve stones. So kind of two, not that big, maybe 2 meters tall, kind of vertical stones right next to each other. You kind of just short enough that you can jump between them. So now heading down off of Tryfan summit, down the south summit or south ridge, onto then Glyder Fach. So I'm going towards what's called Bristly Ridge. So it is this bit here. So there's two kind of gullies that go up to it. So Sinister Gully and Dexter Gully. So I'm going to try and go to the Sinister Gully, so the one on the left, up onto Bristly Ridge, up to the summit of Glyder Fach, and then down. You can't see it at the moment, but there's a little lake over the back of here. So I'm going to head down to that and maybe have a bit of a dip in the water if it's not too cold, and then head back down to the campsite.
And every sweeping scarlet blade, but they will never close these blazing eyes. I will find you.
So I'm down off of the south ridge of Tryfan, which is just behind me, and now heading across the short sort of cross gap between them here and Glyder Fach, Bristly Ridge, and then I'm going to go up Sinister Gully, which sounds worse than I think it is, but it's just up the start of Bristly Ridge, and then after you go through the gully you go onto Bristly Ridge properly, and then it's kind of fairly sustained scramble up onto the top of Glyder Fach, where the big cantilever stone is, which I'll show you when I get there. But yeah, if I spin the camera around, we are heading up here. So this kind of dark patch here is Dexter Gully, and then just to the left of it, which is harder to see, is Sinister Gully, and that's the one I'll be going up. And then once it's gone through this section here, it heads on up to Bristly Ridge, which is this kind of prominent bit up at the top here. So the rain has come. It did look like it was potentially going to be forecast earlier, but it kind of was changing, and the weather was actually been really nice up to that point. Quite warm, but yeah, there's definitely clouds about. It's not raining too hard, but looks like it could blow over soon, but yeah, the clouds aren't moving too much, so it might be linger for a bit. So I've got my coat on, but so it's not too bad at the moment. I'm going to head up still to the top of this kind of scree slope here, which leads on to the start of the ridge, and just see what it looks like. If it's already a bit wet, then we'll go up via the kind of normal non-scrambling path, and then head back down the same way to the lake. But yeah, this is nature of the mountains. Weather changes pretty quickly. Yeah, it can go from sort of fairly bright sunshine to rain in sort of minutes, and then shift back maybe. But we'll see how it goes. So there it is, that's the gully. Pretty good handholds, pretty good footholds, not too steep, so we'll carry on. So the rain stopped now, just waited at the bottom here for two climbers coming down. The route the rain stopped, so looks pretty good, not too slippery, so I'm going to head on up through here.
Did you know I saw you fall? But did you hear the prayer down the hallway? Or see those headlights shining late? Drawing closer, sure as the coming day.
I think I've done sort of quite a bit of kind of almost fairly easier scrambling in the past, and a few harder bits here and there. I think having got sort of back into rock climbing quite recently, all indoors at the moment, but hoping to, or will be later in the year, doing more outside, back here and other places hopefully. But yeah, I think doing some more rock climbing has given me a lot more confidence on some of those kind of scrambling routes, because it's not sort of steep as so much as like vertical walls on rock climbing, but there's sort of certain moves that kind of require a little bit of commitment, hands-on, sort of pulling up with your hands. But yeah, just having the confidence on kind of smaller holes like this, kind of crimpy stuff, that kind of real rock climbing sort of territory. I think it just gives me a lot of confidence in being able to get up harder stuff, even without the rope and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, even on this kind of what is sort of sustained but fairly easy scrambling, yeah, it gives me a lot more confidence in just the handholds, and I can sort of trust the feet a bit more as well and do stuff like this with relative simplicity, I suppose. Through the gully here, and then now we're up onto the ridge properly, onto Bristly Ridge. So it continues on for sort of a few more 100 metres up onto the top of Glyder Fach. It's kind of fairly easy, kind of rocky, bouldery scrambling from here, no sort of gullies or anything like that, but yeah, sort of fairly bouldery all the way up to the top. But yeah, another good classic North Wales scramble.
I will find you. I don't fear the night. I
So that's looking back towards Tryfan. So this here, lump of rock is Tryfan, so that's the south ridge there. You can kind of see sort of there, that's the end of the heather terrace which we walked over earlier. And then kind of behind it is the campsite. Down through here is the Ogwen Valley. This is where all the, I suppose, hills kind of centre around this big valley and these lakes down here. And then yeah, this is on Bristly Ridge now, so the ridge, the main ridge, there's a kind of bit of a step down in a minute, which I think is called the Pinnacle Step. So what I was talking about here is kind of this step down before it climbs back up again. I think it's called the Pinnacle Step. It's got these kind of rock pinnacles in it. But yeah, and then it kind of leads on up a little bit further and then kind of onto the summit. So I think the conventional wisdom that you just saw there, I climbed down, is that down climbing is probably more dangerous than climbing up, which doesn't always make like loads of sense, I suppose, because there's more technical climbing probably going up in certain aspects and it feels harder physically, but climbing down can be quite difficult because it can be hard to reach footholds. Obviously, depending on which way you face, like you can't necessarily see what's below you that easily. If you're facing kind of forwards, then all your weight could potentially tip forward. So yeah, kind of down climbing can definitely be sort of a much more challenging skill than climbing up, and something that probably more people will struggle with than climbing up. But yeah, if you go up something, you've generally got to come down it. So it's always a good idea that if you're going to be climbing a route or any route in the mountains, that you have at least a good idea of how you're getting back down again, because you're more fatigued generally on the way down. Day might have gone on a bit longer, so light could potentially be an issue at certain times of year. And yeah, there's always that risk of slipping on the kind of home straight, if you like. This that I'm kind of behind here, down there, this is one of the pinnacles of the Pinnacle Step. Sort of others here as well. But yeah, you kind of climb up and round it and then head on up through. And we've just come down from over there. So off of the ridge now and onto the summit plateau. So it's up over there, me and the sheep, we're over there. You can see the sea over there. So yeah, the sea over that way. You can probably see it on the camera. Wind farms over here as well. So this is the cantilever stone on top of Glyder Fach, I think it is now. This is kind of a weird feature of a sort of balancing stone. Kind of looks pretty flimsy, but obviously the stone weighs like tens of tons probably, so it's unlikely to go anywhere, even with any sort of weight on the end, so I'll go stand on the end of it in a minute. maybe we'll just jump a bit and see if we can make it forward. That's it. But then that over there is the summit, and then we're headed off down that way. So just coming up onto the Glyder Fach summit now, so just here behind me, and then heading back the way I just came a little bit, just to the top of Bristly Ridge, that kind of plateau I showed you with the sheep, and then we bear off to the right and down kind of a fairly well established path to that little lake, and then down back towards the A5 road down to the A5 road and to the campsite. But yeah, just last little scrambly section here to get onto the summit. Boulder field all at the top as well, so kind of quite a cool landscape when you get up here. But yeah, just heading back down where we came. It's kind of path that goes off to the right of Bristly Ridge. We're going to head down, but then bears off right over towards that lake. So it's 7:30 in the evening, still pretty light. Sun goes down just after sort of 9, so it's still got probably a good hour and a half of light. And we've just made it to that lake. So I was questioning myself on the way, thinking, oh, maybe I'll go for a swim. I'm here now, so I think I might have a very quick dip, even if it is a little bit mad. As expected, quite cold. Oh, so clothes back on after my dip. Trousers a bit wet because I just keep my underwear on, but it will all dry out. But yeah, I was surprised how deep it was. Kind of looking in it, looked kind of real murky and black. Kind of lots of like particulates and crap in it because it's obviously got all the moss and stuff around it. But yeah, it's kind of couldn't see the bottom, so I wasn't really sure how deep it was going to be. I took a couple of steps in and it dropped like massively and was like almost like above my belly button. So yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be quite that deep, but sort of in, under, out, and on to warm back up again. So yeah, not too long now, probably another maybe hour or so back down to the road and campsite and have some dinner. So the campsite is just down there, so just got to go kind of down this sort of slight ridge line, and we'll try and drop off down there to the left of it and head back down. There's some paths and that sort of heading down that way, so I'm going to work my way down there. I will find you. So back down to the sort of pretty much the road level now. So there's 2 campsites There's this one behind me, and then the one I'm at up ahead. Named pretty much the same thing in Welsh. Just to make it really confusing. They're kind of like probably less than half a mile apart and got almost exactly the same name. Day out really, 5 hours 13 minutes, so it'll probably be what, 5 hours 20ish by the time I'm back. 5.5 hours. 8.36k, so about 8.5k probably, which is not a lot, but I've done 985 metres of ascent. So yeah, Tryfan climbs like pretty much everywhere up to the top pretty quickly. Like it goes from kind of about 300 metres kind of base level up to like 900 and something, like really quick. And same with the Fach as well, up bristly ridge, it climbs pretty quickly. So yeah, a lot of climbing for not a lot of distance. I mean, I haven't been going crazy quick, but yeah, all the scrambling obviously slows you down a lot. But yeah, good day out, scrambling in the mountains, dipping a sort of lake thing in the mountain. And yeah, and then back to the tent for the night camping under the stars.